Thank you for being here at the special meeting of LaSalle County Commissioners Court. It's June 15, 2020. It's 1:07 p.m. We are at the District Courtroom, LaSalle County Courthouse, 101 Courthouse Square. We have Commissioner Noel Nieves, Joaquin Alba, Rafael Ramirez, Raul Ayala, and myself as a quorum. So we have a quorum. We could rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, and pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Is there any public comment? There being none, first item I have discussion possible action on cybersecurity awareness compliance training. Mr. Varela, I understand that you helped schedule this for everybody. And
everybody that's required to take it as of Friday afternoon has completed it. So we're at 100% compliance with that. The only thing that's left to do is have the Commissioners Court sign off on that. That doesn't get sent off, it gets filed with the clerk, so there's a record that everybody's done. And then there's a form to fill out online. And I can show you that, or you can authorize me to send it for you.
now, everybody that has internet access has it. For those individuals that really don't have a need for internet, you know, I think Mary would be sending them their paychecks through the mail. So now they're going to get by email. Now they'll be getting the stuff in the mail.
Yeah, they're still going to be able to get their email, but they won't have access to county network if they don't need it.
So you're able to do that?
Yes.
Okay. So we would need a resolution that we're in compliance with the cybersecurity awareness, and authorize you to file a letter to that effect with the county and district clerk. We would need that in form of motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Motion has been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you very much, Victor. Number 5, we got a few for Carl Esser. And number 5 is discussion potential action in open session to open, review, accept, deny sealed bids, and possible award pending qualification certification for the LaSalle County Dialysis Project, TX CDBG 721800A, including all actions necessary thereto. Mr. Esser, Mr. Zamora, thank you for being here. Mr. Rylander, Mr. Martinez.
You got Mr. Rylander and Mr. Martinez here. County conducted a bid opening Friday. And I'll give you a bid calculation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we had pretty good interest in the project. Actually had 6 sealed bids submitted to South County. They range from a low bid of $2,699,000 to a high of $3,528,000. So each one of the contractors submitted a bid bond with their bid. They also have a bid there for an added alternate, do some asphalt repair there on the road next to between the nutrition center and the dialysis clinic. And then also each one of them gave a proposal in their bid, the amount of weeks it would take to, they felt they could complete the project. The least amount of time was Hoover Construction, in the amount of 30 weeks. Frontier Construction, 34 weeks. And everybody else was, the bid document was 35 weeks, which was the maximum construction period. So we're here today to kind of discuss that and kind of make a decision as to move forward or accept the bids and move forward. And then Mr. Rylander is here to go over some of the qualifications and certification of contractors.
Yeah, first I'd like to talk about timeframe, since we have the grant from Texas Department of Agriculture, for all involved. We have a deadline to be able to actually be seeing patients May 1st of next year. So working backwards, it takes about a month it takes about 6 weeks for them to install a special water system. And this is what filters all the blood and water and that to operate these dialysis machines. Okay. And so that process doesn't begin until substantial completion. So what I did in the documents, I required March 1st substantial completion. And we asked the contractors to put in how many weeks it would take them to do the project. They're not sure when they're going to start. It's up to us, decisions on reviewing the contracts, agreements, getting the bond, the payment performance bond. As you back that number up, you basically allow them from July 1st. It's going to be very difficult to get at this point on all the legal documents together, sign, move forward. That's a 35 weeks. July 1st, 35 weeks, puts you at March the 3rd. But get to July 1st, the hurdle's going to be getting all the information through the legal counsel, their approval, getting bid bond, and notice to proceed. So it's a very tight time frame. That usually takes 3 to 4 weeks.
Well, I don't think that's gonna be that delay, because you've done contracts before, unless you hold it back.
I won't hold you back.
Unless you hold it back, because if you do the investigation right now and get it done probably within a week of these contractors, then we can get that contract out.
Right. I'm just giving
Very,
all
very,
the-
very, very fast. Because if we're gonna be delayed now and you're telling me you can't make it March, let's cancel the project.
Right.
Because we stand to lose $500,000 if we don't get it done by May. And we need the contractor to understand that we have a severe penalty if they can't get it done. So I hope there's delay damages in the contract itself. You know,
It's
we reach a-
typical $1,000 a day. We discussed the fact where you can impose $500,000 damage because you didn't meet a certain day. You know, we're running way behind schedule. But we're doing what we can. I'll move my schedule up once we got to go ahead and move. So I'm just giving y'all some absolute deadlines. Now, our experience, my past experience with projects here is it's tough for these guys to be on time and meet those deadlines. It's just, never, me, it hasn't happened yet. I think you gotta have the right contractor and the right resources, and just everything's gotta click. So that's why I'm reiterating the time. So there's a big chunk of change.
And I know the low contract was Davila Construction. And it's been so long, but they built the Emergency Operations Center. And I don't remember they were on time or they weren't. Paul, do you remember?
It's just getting the right subcontract. What to do and make this work. This is a special building, very much like Mexico. You have the State Department that has their own department that comes in with 80% to take a review the construction. And then they come back in at 100% after your water system's in place. So, and then you got a tight window of 2 weeks to get the state involved, HHS, Human Health Services Commission. They gotta show up and they gotta bless us. So having the right contractor is gonna make a difference also. You need to add to what the priorities we have to give them on selecting a contractor. Use the federal funds, federal
guidelines, for precedent over the local. So the county generally have to accept the low bidder. Know that bidder has less fees, that have less fees for the county bidder. So for the county to actually consider that, you have to get a TJ for that. I'm recommending that for that. I want to come back to the county and say, well, what justification do you have not to do it? Very much stipulates in the federal guidelines that you have to award to a little bit unless you've got an absolute reason not to.
Have you gone through that process to reach back to PDA and ask them for that?
The only other time we've ever had to do that was right in the South County on a project about 6 or 8 years ago, and we had a contractor who had gone bankrupt due to not installing a project according to specifications and plans. And so the engineer knew that contractor who was a low bid, and we had to coordinate with the state and county to work through that process.
At what point do you contact them?
Yeah.
If the county decides they want to do that.
See, because Davila Construction is the lowest and TBC Commercial second. And then third is RK Hoover Construction. And part of your research on RK Hoover Construction is, have they finished projects on time as well? They can put 30 weeks, but if they don't have a track record of being on time, then it doesn't matter whether you put 20 weeks or, 40 weeks. They won't hit their target.
They're the only contractor that I know of yet. I haven't done research total, but has built several dialysis centers and has some under construction at this point. I believe one in Laredo.
Now, Davila Construction, have they done any medical buildings, any
They've
nursing
done,
homes?
my understanding, they've done some medical. There's Nova Scotia Health Care Facility. I don't know the extent of it yet. I just read it this morning. Tim is following up and starting to do the research. I did reach out to Davila and asked him to give me of all the projects completed in the last 5 years. We normally request that in the bid package. Seemed the other contractors did provide that. I don't think they did, at least the copy I got didn't seem to be.
Was that a requirement?
I don't know. I need to look back and see how it was written. I don't know that for a fact. We previously talked that we didn't put any preconditions on any contractor because of TDA's money.
Oh, I don't know what you foresee. We've known it's tight. The more we kind of rub it in, the more it makes us want to push away. So we had established before we had a budget, and now it's even higher now, about $600,000-$700,000 higher than its original cost.
It's 400.
So 400,000 on the construction cost, but we're still looking at the operating cost.
Right.
You know, as well. And the question is, on this facility, we had already determined if we've lost it, fine, but I think we should make sure they have a very clear understanding so we don't run the same thing as we did with this contractor that's 8-9 months behind. You know, we don't want to repeat that, and we're serious about it. But you got some social, economic issues, you know, to deal with, environmental issues, and, you know, healthcare issues. But even when we don't have these things, you know, there's always a chance of a hurricane, or, you know, that's something that we take a chance when we do a construction project. So I know there's no guarantee that they'd be done by March 1st, but as long as there's a clear understanding that there will be penalties if they don't, unless it's something out of the ordinary, you know, that we just can't control. Then we all bite the bullet. So,
We accept the money.
I mean, what I hear Mr. Esser saying is that we're better off accepting the lowest one and accept all these that are presented and agree to award the low bid, but on the condition that they have bad references or don't meet their deadlines, then we can go up the ladder to the second or third phase. I think that's what my understanding was for Friday, because of the time. And I would assign that task to Carl and Beto to make that decision, because you've done that on nursing home. Carl's done a lot of projects and let them go through it.
What is
Or
the
do
due
you-
date that needs to be billed?
5/1, but it has to be all ready to go.
5/1.
But
But they get that.
So those are 35 weeks, or 30 weeks, when would it fall from now? 9 months?
35 weeks to March 1st. March 1st.
March 1st.
That's if it's awarded in July. So they got 2 weeks. to
July
do-
1st.
Huh?
July
They
1st.
got 2 weeks to get a final contract and get it executed. I mean, we can come back next week and execute a contract easily. We can come back next week and issue a contract real quick.
These contractors that have this kind of capacity, they can get their bonds and that's. So the only problem will be, depending on how much of the bond work they have, some of these contractors say they have $5 million worth of bonding capacity, and they have $3-4 million worth of work out on the street going on right now that's bonded. So then they could have a problem getting a bond for $2-3 million, depending on their capacity. Do we have to have enough some of the projects they currently have going on. Because all these guys seem to be substantially large contracts. I went online this morning when I was doing big tag, I pulled up the company, you see where they completed projects, they completed that. And, what we don't know is what else they got going on out there. So the only bind the county would get into, and I think they would have to be upfront about that, if you award it to them, that, contingent upon them being able to get their payment performance bond 100%. Because if they've got $5 million worth of work going out there, and they only have $5 million worth of bonded capacity, in other words, they can get bonded up to $5 million worth of work, but they've got $5 million worth of work out there. Well, we don't have the luxury to wait 5 or 6 months for them to finish the project before they start another one that they can get bonded. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but that could be a contingency somewhere down the road. Is that correct? Yeah. So, but these guys seem to be, these contractors seem to be, pretty large scale in the contract.
I think Paul needs to go ahead and explain the process on those dialysis units, depending on the vendor, how they want it formatted, because that puts another time frame on it.
It does. And what Beto's talking about is this RO water system, the treatment water system. It's about a $200,000 item that the county would contract with that vendor to buy, install, and maintain. Super critical. That's the lifeline of these people that you're treating. And as I mentioned earlier, it's about a 2-week process to install it, and then there's a 4-week process that they have to test it. Every day they have to test it and validate it. Before they have to have it validated before you can get the state in here to review, come in and do their final blessing on your whole facility. So this whole time frame is really, really tight. And any weeks we can pick up, however it's done, it needs to happen. So my recommendation is we get Jeff Borowski, who is the county's consultant for dialysis center, who assisted me in the design, and get him to, let's get an advertisement going, and let's procure at least the water system. You got 4 packages that's beyond the contractor, general contractor. You got the water treatment system, you have the dialysis machines, which there's 13 of them, and then there's the dialysis chair, and then there's just the furnishings of the building. The one that's super critical is the water system. Now, we've laid out the design for all the utilities, but the systems have changed a little bit, and each manufacturer has a little bit different way of how it sets up. So we don't need to know who we're going with, what we're working with. So when they're putting in the plumbing in the foundation, then they can coordinate that. So we got to have this as soon as possible. That's priority to move forward. So my recommendation would be next Commissioner's Court, get it on the agenda and make sure you approve advertising.
I wouldn't put it on the agenda because we already authorized you to do a complete bid package, which was the whole dialysis clinic and not just the building
right.
and the water
Okay.
separate.
We can move on.
So we expected the whole deal together. So you've been authorized.
Okay.
So you put out the bid and you bring it back to us and we'll look at it.
Perfect.
Because they got to work with your plans.
Right.
So there's probably going to be a change order depending on some of the infrastructure, where you want the water.
We should have the quantities there, and to adjust them shouldn't be one.
So I mean, we've already authorized a whole complete project. So you wouldn't have to
Okay.
come back, but you would bring it back to us.
Okay, we can do that. So we'll set that up and make it happen. Maybe you can get a bid advertisement, tomorrow. We can advertise it for bid. That's the process you'll have to go through, right? Is to advertise it, request, go out to bids for it.
But depending on what time you get it, you might be able to get it today. If not, you're off for another week.
I think Tuesday, what, last time?
This is Monday,
Monday?
Mondays.
I'm talking about for the Pierce opening.
But if you call them, they'll hold the space for you if you can get it
That's
tomorrow.
true, because we made a change Tuesday morning last time they made that change.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen.
No, we'll see what we can do. We'll call Jeff right away, after this. And, get that, see if we can get that advertisement in there.
What this doesn't include is your startup and your operational costs that Mr. Samora and the doctor would need to, start up once the building is complete. Once the building is complete. You know, that's, so we're at a $3.7 million budget, you know, and another $1.25 million. So it's a $5 million project. And it started out as $1 million, you know, but once you're for $1 million building, now we're 3.7. So because of the changes that have been made, and when we talked to the doctor, the requirements from the, I guess, from people that regulate medical facilities, it was determined that there's been changes to the law that you have to have all of this extra space, for people in dialysis. So the old buildings are not qualified anymore, you know, the standards have gone up. So that basically doubled the price of the facility. I just want to make sure that is still the case, that there's been changes in federal law allowing, requiring buildings to, you know, have all these additional services.
One thing we have done is submitted the plans to HHSC, and they'll do a plan review. And the way we did this was we just presented them plans as an interior finish out. And although we bid it as a whole package, that way you can start construction of your building before, and they just see it as interior finish out. So that allows us not to have to wait another month for them to look at it, review it, and give you a project number.
And how many final beds is this design are you gonna have?
There's 12 stations in the treatment room, then there's one isolation room, and then we have 2 home training rooms that's required now. And there's also an exam room. So the home training rooms do not have a dialysis machine in there. That's for people that's actually gonna be doing it at home.
And 12, talking to the doctor, 12 is sufficient for operating a facility?
Yeah, to break even or to, you know, for profit, and then future needs. That's what Jeff Borowski and the doctor that y'all are working with, that was their recommendation. That's another reason the group wanted to do it.
Mr. Somodi, 12 would be sufficient? The size of the facility would be sufficient?
I didn't hear that.
The size of the facility would be sufficient, 12 beds?
Technically, we can expand to the east toward the cemetery.
Okay.
And there's actually, we designed it where you can actually put another building there, whether it's a clinic or whatever, 7-Eleven, but it's, you know, we laid it out to where you can just keep developing if you need to, something else.
And Mr. Samora, have you had a chance to look at any of the bid prices? Are you gonna, is that pretty much ballpark mark on?
I think so.
Huh? No.
And you're talking about a very sophisticated facility. But, not to say that, that it can be negotiated.
I think there's a, PDA will have some requirements we talked about.
What you can do on that is, you have to, whoever you decide to award to, award in that contract price. Then during the course of the project, you could have some value engineering or some items in there that, you know, you can negotiate, maybe try to save $1, maybe it will cost you $1. Depending
Right.
on you know, the final outcome. And actually award you a contract before we can start that. Not negotiate prior to the award.
So today, Paul, we would need a motion to accept,
In the bid, in the
all the
minutes,
prices you got and authorize to proceed with the background bond check, see when they're available.
For the three
And
lowest bidders.
the three lowest bidders, which would be Davila Construction, DPC Construction, and, Hoover, RK Hoover. And you know, if that's the case, then come back on Monday and award the lowest bidder.
Are y'all set for Monday or can Friday work?
does it have to be the lowest bidder?
It doesn't have to be the lowest bidder, but
No.
because it's a grant or through TDA, partly grant, you're gonna have a very, very good reason to knock them out.
Like that RK Hoover, they already built what, 3 or 4 cottages, they know what they're talking about. I mean,
Well, but we're gonna let Carl and them do the background check. The background check, because what if our RK Hoover can't finish them on time and they only put 30 weeks and they've never made 30 weeks?
But they already built what, 3 or 4 of them?
So the thing is, do we want to eat the $500,000? You know, the experience is worth it. You know,
Because, I mean, they put 30 weeks because,
huh?
they put there 30 weeks because they already know what they're doing.
Comparison of the bids, what Commissioner Alice is saying is the 30-week versus the 35-week.
Makes a big difference. 5 weeks.
And
I go for number
you
3.
still have to go with TDA with a low
But,
bidder.
but TDA has also put pressure, they're not gonna extend it regardless of the virus, regardless of everything else. So they put pressure on us on those days too. So if it turns out that Hoover put in this price, but they've never made their deadlines, then it doesn't matter whether they put it or not, huh?
You're right.
They're not gonna finish it, then we have to go to a low bid.
Not meeting their obligations, to the 30 or
But,
35 days.
but of all these 3 companies that were doing low bid, on Monday, if they have an experience of not hitting low bid, then we need to decide whether we want to continue with TDA or do we just want to continue with us? I mean, as is.
But what I was leading to, once you have the information back from the owner, you could put it on the agenda for Monday or Friday, whenever you're gonna have to meet. Probably could go into executive session and talk more freely about it.
Yeah, contract negotiations.
And then come out with your decision as to what you want to do.
Get more information on that number 3, Hoover. I'm pretty sure they built more than the others, right?
Yes,
They built
yeah,
more.
they've built
They're more experienced
a handful.
on that stuff.
But
Carl's had,
that's what they put on paper though,
yes.
unless you have direct experience with it.
And I have not direct experience with them. Jeff Morosky has worked with them, your consultant has worked with side by side with them on other projects. Carl's worked with them not on dialysis, but on several other projects, right?
Well, probably experience with
Utilities.
So
But I have no hands on.
I'd say the whole thing is accept the bids as presented and then authorize Carl Martinez, Mr. Rylander to do the research on the 3 and then come back on Monday, to award.
What I can do in the meantime, I don't have a problem reaching out to TDA, let them know kind of, what the deal is, and, to see if there's any wiggle room there as far as awarding the one other y'all know how the thing is. Not saying that maybe don't have it off of their decision, so.
David le hizo aquí el partido.
They built the
Sí,
EOC.
tú eres ahí.
They did the EOC, but the whole thing is that we don't have a lot of wiggle room. Kind of forces us to go with someone that says they can deliver, and if they can deliver, then you're talking $78,000 in difference. So we,
Just estimating, square foot, block, running around 355, 360. In comparison to other projects that you have done, how does that compare?
I know the price since we put the nursing home has gone up twice that amount, pretty much, what we're looking at.
That's
And, and, you know,
years ago.
and I was hoping with the slowdown of the economy with the virus and the oil, you know, we'd get better pricing, but it might be too soon to see better pricing. Another 6 months, huh?
If we're leading an option to time frame, rebidding it?
Yeah,
We don't have the time.
based on the time that TDA has put on the small schedule, they wouldn't. I mean, we've had to pull nails on in dealing with TDA on this. They've made it very difficult. Most grants go that if you do construction, you get progress payments from the state. This one, they won't. If we open it May 1st, they give us a check of $500,000. If we don't open May 1st, we lose 500 completely. There's no progress payments.
Does this include, turkey, parking lot,
Sorry?
lights, parking lot?
Operational. So just the building and operation of a doctor and a patient.
So you gotta have a
Just
C
the
of
parking
O,
lot.
you gotta have a C of O, and you've gotta be able to, you have to have the state come in and inspect the place, meet their requirements. And then they bless it, and then you can put a patient in there. And,
So it includes parking lot and everything.
oh, yeah,
And parking lot asphalt or no?
concrete.
At the end of the day, on day one, we got to set a person in that chair.
And you can't put them in there unless HHSC says, okay. That's the real critical one right there.
And that's why when you research these companies, these three bidders, if it's a solid company that's seriously run, then our chances of, you know, are better. Hmm? So I'd get that in form of motion, you know, accept all the bids, authorize you to proceed with research of 1, 2, and 3, Davila, DVC, and then Hoover. And then on Hoover, and then on Monday we'll award. I'll make that motion.
Just to add more information, we received a narrative from Dr. Kowalski, talking about how the COVID is gonna function, so I don't know if you've been privy to that. But we have some copies of them. At least get an idea, what to expect.
That's part of our submittal process. I have, it came Saturday, didn't it?
But yeah, you don't already have. But you get any more copies.
Sure. It's fine. You can.
This narrative here accommodates our plan submittal to HHSC in order to establish a project number. And they also do, I'm self-certifying the plans. The normal review process for plans is like 6, 8 months for real in-depth review, so I'm sticking my head out there saying it's gonna work. I self-certify it, and they're gonna do a cursory review, not real detailed, but cursory review. But we got the people on board that, feel comfortable that we'll meet or exceed their requirements.
So, motion was made, was there a second?
Second.
Second? Did all those in favor say aye? Aye. Motion carries. Paul? I guess you're almost there.
We'll make it, we'll do what we possibly can.
1 o'clock Monday,
No?
1 o'clock Monday?
We'll talk Monday. If you have a sample contract, send it to me, and then I'll get them to start working on it.
Yeah, I've sent it to you, Nazi, but I'll send it again. Make it
Okay.
work. That's real critical.
Do we, the three of us, do we wanna have, go ahead,
We either do it through a phone or a face-to-face meeting.
do what?
Us three need to get together sometime between now and Monday.
Well,
This afternoon or tomorrow morning.
what I didn't know,
Morning.
this is just a thought. Uh, Obviously, we've been assigned to complete this task whichever way we can, but if we come to a consensus, do we need to have that person here Monday? Or we wanna wait, y'all hear the evaluation and award and then make
I
contact?
think if you come to consensus, you'd have that person here on Monday. Here on
I'm just
Monday.
trying to whittle down time.
Yeah, I'd say you'd have him here Monday.
Huh?
We need to do
The little
that.
bit.
We're, I hate to say this, but our backs are to the wall.
Yeah, I just kinda hate to meet again and talk about it.
Yeah,
No, we're gonna take action.
y'all decide,
We,
y'all decide.
you
on
know,
what-
in a nursing home, we bid it twice and we had the time. And we did, you handled Paul and you handled that. Now, Carl's handled the EOC and a number of other projects for us over the years too, so you have a lot of experience. And what made it hard, and the reason I wanted all three of you, is that TDA threw some obstacles, kind of like, you guys, you can't build this, there's no way. And they really didn't allocate any money to South Texas. And the challenge was on, because I think you all are really good, I think you've been dealing with these facilities, but I don't think we're being treated equally across the state with other communities that are getting these funds. So it's a personal challenge to all of us saying, hey, you know, I think we do have the resources in South Texas to handle these projects. And I don't want to put too many people in one group to make it harder to work, but I do know that you individually have certain experiences that can help us, you know, navigate and make this a better project. You know, medical facilities, clinics and startup costs. Mr. Samara knows the area better than anybody else. He's done it. Maybe you think he would. You've handled contracts throughout South Texas. You've built so many buildings, I don't know, 150 contracts or more, maybe more than that in surrounding towns. Or you can adjust the facility, put a little pressure on you, you produce more, you know, so, and Beto has a lot of overall experience in dealing with federal agencies since he retired from one. So I think, if we got a sincere contractor, and if we get off course because there's something we can't control, then, you know, then we understand that we're gonna have to, that's something that we're gonna bite. But we wanna make sure, that we have good, reliable partners.
You got a good team.
Because, I mean, if this virus comes back in the fall and hits us real hard, we'll know right away if we're gonna make it or not because of, you know,
Slow down.
the slowdown, fuel, not getting parts, not getting materials. materials, we'll know. But at that point, we won't keep PDA on the hook either. So you know what, we're gonna pursue this on our own. Instead of waiting till the last minute. But it's been a challenge because, they made it feel like we didn't know what we're doing. We know what we're doing, we just want to be treated the same as everybody else. So all these grants have been a challenge. We pursue as much as we can. And we appreciate you because we couldn't do this without all your efforts. Carl has so much work. I wish I could tell you what he calls himself, but he's pretty much landed and finished all his projects and very favorable with the state. So it's good that we at least
Still a team,
have money to
here,
move forward.
there,
It's lucky we have money.
contractors.
The thing is, the dialysis clinic, and I run into people and say, hey, we couldn't go out because of this virus on dialysis. There's one lady that came out for the cook-off from North Dakota, and she had to do dialysis. And she was here for a few days and managed to get in Pearsall, and then they had to rush back all the way to North Dakota, but there was nothing here for them. So they really couldn't even visit their family because there was nothing here. So you got your residents here, you might have people that want to come visit their families, but they don't have those services here. And it's so needed. You know, it's a good opportunity. And I know people want hospitals. Hospitals a little bit trickier because there was a big push for a hospital a few years ago. And I think the Knicks at that time wanted to push the hospital. But a couple of years later, they went belly up. They went broke. We would have ended up with a facility that wasn't gonna have a hospital to run it. But the need and the bed space for dialysis, I understand, is there. And it continues to be there. It's still growing, isn't it? The dialysis, it's still going up.
Demonstrations are becoming a little more serious.
And what's hard on this, Paul, is that, look, if this money from the state was available, then chances are we wouldn't be building this facility. But just the terms are really, really hard by the state. But we'll proceed. So,
I certainly appreciate the opportunity to work with you one more time. We'll do whatever we can.
I think there'll be more coming down the pipe. Motion's been made and second. If there's not any further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Very good, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carl has 3 more items. Discussion possible action regarding the 2020 Colonia Fund construction secondary round of completion to TDA, including all other actions necessary thereto. Number 7, discussion possible action regarding the resolution authorizing submission coronavirus relief fund grant application, Texas Department of Emergency Management, TDEM. And number 8, discussion and or possible action regarding resolution authorizing submission of coronavirus emergency funding grant application to the Texas Governor's Office. And
Okay, right quick. Item number 6. You may recall last year we submitted an application to the TDA to do some, extend the water out there in Ballerton. And, S&B Infrastructure and myself put that application together. Kind of short on time. We crunched it, got it in there within the deadline. And after TDA reviewed that, what we did, we had some activities. The water line was actually outside the designated colonial boundary area of Ballerton. So when TDA saw that, they're a little bit more strict than they used to be. It used to be that wasn't quite as big an issue, but nowadays, if you propose an activity outside that boundary of that designated colonial area, in other words, we had prioritized putting a water line all the way out there on, I want to say Larson, not Larson, Landry. Anyhow, they extended into McMullen County, actually. And so they said, well, we'd have the option, we could withdraw the application and, you know, resubmit it and have all the proposed activities inside the designated area of Ballerton. And so we did that. I sent, when Ms. Gilmore sent the email notifying us about that, I said, yes, LaSalle County desires to withdraw their application and resubmit it. And so during the course of this time, TDA actually wanted an official letter from the county stating that they were withdrawing the application and that they would resubmit it. In visiting with TDA about that, you do not have to conduct another public hearing. You can use the same grant writer and grant administrator. You can also use the same engineer that you did with the original application. So this is more of a formality, just notifying TDA that yes, LaSalle County is officially withdrawing their application and does intend to resubmit. It doesn't have to be for Ballerton, it can be for another colonial area in LaSalle County. It's just that you go to, they have a, I guess I should back up a little bit. There was not sufficient applications submitted to use the entire pot of money that TDA had set aside for the Colonial Fund construction, okay? And so they're opening up another invitation across the state, what they call Round 2 2020 for the Colonial Fund construction. And the deadline for that is September 1, 2020. And so this official letter will allow LaSalle County, you know, to resubmit. It can be for Ballerton or it can be for any other colonial area in LaSalle County. Any questions on that?
Are you going to be limited to only one submission? Is there a 500,000 or $1 million cap, or is it, can you put in multiple applications?
You can put in multiple activities in the same application. You don't have to have multiple applications. You could have, but there is a cap of $1 million. Yes.
So it is capped at 1 million.
That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, originally it was $1 million, and so they've got some money left over. I don't know exactly how many. It was about maybe 12 applications. They submitted statewide. I think they funded maybe, say, probably around 7 of them. So there's some money left over there for them to use.
Now, you've done work with Gardendale, and you also done work with Ballerton. In your opinion, which one is in need the most?
Well, the only thing that I really know that Ballerton needs, what we were trying to do, you get points, you get maximum points if you extend the water line to an area that's not served. So there were some people out there, Lansford Road, that's the name of it, Lansford Road, that desired water service. So when we get out there, you don't have to go very far out there and you get outside that area of Ballerton. And so being that activity, but the only other thing that I really know that they need is a water tank, another water tank. Because the water tank that we rehabbed over there about 6 years ago, and we repainted that water tank on the outside. I think we painted the inside, I think just the outside. It was sort of questionable. The contractor said, you know, it'd probably be good for a few more years, but at some point, just because of the water down there in that part of the world, it deteriorates that metal, and sooner or later you're going to have another water tank. And so that would be one of the priorities, you know, that the county could look at as far as considering funding maybe to replace that water tank. Other than that, I don't know if they need any upgrades at Gardendale. I know there were some lines put in there about 4 years ago. It has to be, for these funds, it has to either be water or sewer. Yeah.
I know that Gardendale was looking at trying to get the city to run the corporation for them. So I don't know exactly what happened. And even with Fowlerton, what I'm concerned of, and that we can make sure that they are in compliance, that these nonprofits are actually operating as nonprofits, that they're getting their audits done, you know, they're having their board meetings, their membership, that they're complying with TCEQ. We need to make sure that they're still operating as nonprofits. Because we get a better system, they're charging these services, but at some point, like I understand Gardendale had like $60,000 in the bank account. Well, we're coming up with a match money. I mean, they should have a little bit of skin in the game too. It's the same thing with Fowlerton. If the county's covering all the repairs, then, and they're charging for hookups and charges, they ought to give us a report where that money's coming from and how they're spending it.
The one in Gardendale, the city took over.
Yeah, the city took it, but they had money. And when they're a nonprofit, board members can't get paid. So they gotta have someone that's qualified and trained to do repairs to the water. There are new connections that they charge. So where is that money going? How's it being used? Because on this grant, we'll have to come up with $50,000-$60,000 cash match. So we put up, and they need it, because Gardendale, Fowlerton, they could not keep going without the help, without these grants. They can't. They can't. So once we fix them, they're operational, but we need to make sure that they save that money when something really happens and run it the way it's supposed to be. If they want us to help them, because we're the only ones that can help them on some of these funds, is to say we expect you to run it just like it's supposed to be run. Just like they hold us to rules and Open Records Act and everything else. You know, we just say, hey, we got some money available. This is what we want to use. We want a commitment that you're going to run it this way. And I think it's our obligation to ask them and say, hey, you know, what do you want to do? So you started on Fowlerton, we pulled that bid, they still need a tank, they need some repairs. You think it's gonna hit $1 million?
Should be, not just
Like a
for
water
that.
tower like this one, or just a regular tank?
Yeah, just a water tank alone, you know, a new water tank.
I use a one in raw water tank, what is that? You sure?
Well, there's some people that need septic systems too. You can kind of mix it like you did last time.
Yeah, we just tried to extend it out there to the end. Well, as far as Lanesford's out there, and they're actually in, when you actually went to Google Earth and pulled all that up, you can see they were actually in Mullen County. Yeah, they gave us, the Water Supply Corporation gave us those names, so we built the activity off of those names and addresses, but they were actually, you know, Fowlerton, the old plat of Fowlerton actually goes out there towards, well, it goes to the county line, to the McMillan County line, the old plat. And, but then past that, it's not eligible. We're across the county line. It's not in that Columbia anymore. It doesn't extend over to McMillan County.
So there's some people that moved in there, they don't have sewer, they got a hole, you know, because it's, even if the two is getting harder and harder to find property. So when they find a little trailer, they'll dig a little hole, they'll connect water or electricity from the neighbor, you know. So what we did last time, we managed to help a couple people with the septic system, and Gardendale as well.
Right. We actually put in about 40 septics, 40 or 50 septics throughout the county. We had some in Los Angeles, Allenton, Gardendale, a number of places.
Artesia. You know, they did.
So Carl basically wants permission
All three?
to submit for, the 2020, they're all separate ones, we have to take separate action. To submit an application for the 2020 Colonia Fund Construction secondary, round, of completion.
And Judge, what we would do, we need this, actually acting on this letter today. And if the court accepts the letter and the judge signs it, we will come back to the court with a resolution, actually authorizing the submission of it, let you know the activities and the proposed cost, the grant request and all that. We'll come back. I'll be at the meeting in August, since they have a September 1 deadline. Get with Mr. Martinez, work on the we'll contact both of the colonias and see what their priorities are, come up with a budget, and come back to the court for the submission of the application.
I'll make that motion.
The motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Yavis? Motion's been made by Commissioner Ayala, second by Commissioner Yavis. Authorize Mr. Esser to submit 2020 Colonial Fund Construction Secondary Round of Completion PDA Grant. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Number 7, discussion of possible action regarding a resolution authorizing submission of corona virus relief fund application of Texas Department of Emergency Management, TDEM.
I don't know where the county is actually at with this deal, but I'll give you a little information that U.S. Treasury Service sent $583 million to the state of Texas. Okay, the state of Texas divided that money up proportionally to counties and incorporated cities. They divided it up on a per capita basis of $55 per person. Okay, so in LaSalle County, it's based on your population in 2019. In LaSalle County, all the county, Cotulla, Ensenada, and the unincorporated county, there's 7,520 people. Okay, that's census information, census counts. And so in the unincorporated area of the county, there's 2,000, accordingly, there's 2,908 people outside the city limits of Cotulla and outside the city limits of Ensenada. So at $55 a head, that equates to $159,940 that is allocated to LaSalle County for activities related to the coronavirus pandemic. Okay? So if the county so chooses today, they can, there's a resolution that's required, and there's a Exhibit B and Exhibit C there that the judge would need to sign. And these funds are being administered by the Texas Division of Emergency Management. And so up front, TDEM would send the county $31,988, okay, up front. What could you use that money for? That money could be used for, there's a broad range of activities, anything that had to do with coronavirus. Could be if you work overtime, any staff worked any overtime as a result of coronavirus, all these face masks, disinfectant. I was over here one time a couple of weeks ago, and there were 2 guys here in the courthouse spraying down the courthouse doing disinfectant. Those people's time, their wages, their fringe, all the disinfectant you bought, the masks that you bought, anything related to the corona pandemic can be used for the use of these funds. So, if you move forward with this, TDEM's going to send you $31,988 up front. That's 20% of your allotment. And obviously, I probably should go in a separate account so you can track that. Okay. from March 1st through December the 30th, okay? You have to submit to TDM how you use that money. Invoices, payroll, I mean, there's just, you know, you gotta supply some documentation. After you get to the $31,988, after you get to that threshold, and you wanna tap into the other $120,000, you just keep submitting your information to TDM through December the 30th, okay? So if you have more overtime, if we have another second wave, I mean, it can be used, you can take 25% of that allocation, and you could, here in the county, you can even do a little stimulus deal and help businesses that, you know, offset their resources due to the pandemic. I mean, nursing home, there's a large number of activities. It's really, really broad, very wide, what you can use these funds for. Now,
Mr. Esser,
if you move forward with this right quick, and you get the 20% up front, $31,000, and you don't submit anything, well then at the end of the year, you gotta send that money back.
Mr. Esser, what's the difference between the TIDA money and the CARES Act money? Because we received very what, 280,000 in CARES Act money. Now, we put it all in testing, basically. We've done a very aggressive testing in this county.
Who did that come through?
Hmm?
What agency?
The CARES Act, right?
You already got it in the bank? Was it this money?
We don't know if it's a separate pot of money or is this money, huh?
Did the money come from TDM?
It was
Come
from,
from the state?
it was federal government, right?
Well,
Correct.
this money comes from the federal government, but it's channeled through the state of Texas.
Hmm.
And how much did you receive?
280,000. Now, Mr. Esser, we've done very aggressive testing. I can tell you, with the sanitizing, the overtime, and the testing that we did, we probably exhausted it already. And I think that's why there's been a very low caseload so far here, because everybody's been working hard and communities have really cooperated and participating. Huh?
Maybe separate funds, I'm not sure.
I don't know when Danny comes back. I mean, I'd go ahead and authorize to do this resolution is required from the state. And then when Danny comes back, because I know he's been keeping the totals, we've been keeping totals, then we sit down together and then kind of say, hey, this is how you do it, because speaking to Fernando Perez from TDM as well, they said it's possible we can also submit to FEMA.
Right.
Some of these expenses too. So there's multiple, it seems to be that there's multiple pots that we can be chasing.
FEMA there's a declaration out, it's 4485, it's DR event. And if you used up all these funds and used up what other funds you've already received, well then FEMA would be like another avenue. They would only reimburse you 75%, where these are 100% reimbursable. Yeah. Once you maxed out on this, well then you could actually.
So I would suggest that we do everything right with the state of Texas. We do the paperwork. When Danny comes back from vacation, we sit down and then we.
That makes sense.
We decide, think there's some even money for counseling as well, and some of the CARES Act money. Huh? Counseling,
Counseling.
so we gotta figure out how to do it.
I'll make the motion on number 7.
Motion authorize, Commissioners Court resolution authorizing submission, coronavirus relief fund grant application, Texas Department of Emergency Management, TDM.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye. You want to?
Yeah, you got to. You gotta make sure, you gotta sign this one and put your initials on it.
There you go, Mr. Usher. I'll go while you into market. So. Got one more for you. Discussion possible action regarding resolution authorizing submission coronavirus emergency funding grant application to the Texas Governor's Office.
This is another pot of money that, state of Texas has, received about about 38 million, and, strictly for law enforcement, okay? And this goes, funnels down through the governor's office. And it's for sheriff's offices, PDs, primarily for law enforcement, and for, you know, any activities that they may have encountered, in working overtime due to the pandemic. Sanitizing, face masks,
Any jail? Any jail?
jails, yeah, all that, spraying down, disinfecting the jail and all that.
Okay. And I think, I guess when Danny comes down, he has those receipts. I've been getting receipts from the sheriff's office on the supplies they're buying. We sit down and just break out the different pots, and then this is where you submit this is where you submit that.
Be good to, I'm sure the county is like tracking that, have it all. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that would be good at some point to,
She's been really tenacious about chasing those bills down, believe me. You know what tenacious is, right? Cerca. So we would need a motion to authorize, Mr. Esther, authorize resolution authorizing submission of Corona emergency funding grant application. And it's a separate pot of money for law enforcement, sheriff's office and jail.
30 million or B?
He said 38 million.
I make the motion.
Not that we're gonna get that, it's probably gonna be on a per capita basis as well. So it's
let me finish on that. Yeah, the state's getting like 38 million, they divided it up regionally. This region's getting about 300,000. Yeah, divided 24 regions in the state. I don't know how they divided it up, probably on population. But, this region here is allocated about 300,000. Not to say that one region, they can't move that money laterally, depending on the amount of applications.
Is that just the Middle Rio Grande development area?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, they got 300,000.
So we kind of divided based on population, again, only looking at maybe $20,000-$30,000 on that one. So moved. The motion's been made and second. Commissioner, huh? I mean, Commissioner Ayala made the motion in second. Commissioner Ramirez. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, same sign. I think that's all we have for you. Erica, come on down. Discussion and or possible action on approval amendment to Winter Garden Women's Shelter for counseling services for LaSalle, County.
Good afternoon, Judge, Commissioners. I come before you once again to request financial assistance. We are in desperate need of counseling services, and our budget doesn't allow for us to hire a counselor. If you recall that I came before you, before Commissioners Court, this past program year to request financial assistance in order for us to be able to meet our budget. And so you did provide $25,000 to us. You, Maverick County, provided $25,000 to us, and the city of Carrizo provided $2,000 to us. And then we made some budget adjustments and we were able to meet our budget. And so now we need counseling services. We, in the past, the way that we've done it, we utilize counselors that are doing their practicum. They're going for their LPC, their licensed professional counselor license, and they have to do like about 1,000 hours in counseling free of charge. And they're under their instructor at the university that they're attending. And so they've been providing counseling to our clients free of charge, and that's how we've been able to meet that need. We haven't had a counselor in the last year. There hasn't been anyone needing to fulfill those hours, and so we haven't had a counselor. The only county that we have counseling services through that program currently is in Maverick County. And so Zavala, Dimmitt, and LaSalle are without counseling services. And when we opened up this office about 3 years ago, the first year we ended up serving about 14 families. The second year it went up to 27. And in this third year, we're at about 33 families. And within those 33 families, we're serving about 80 people. So it's 33 primary clients. And then we have about 10 secondary and 37 children within those 33 families. And so the need is getting greater. We currently have about 17 families out of the 33 that we're serving that are on a waiting list for counseling services. And so we did apply for a grant. There was a grant through CJD, through the Office of the Governor, that we applied for earlier this year before the coronavirus. And if we do get funded, that grant will be effective. We did score first, so we should get funded. I don't know if we're going to get the full amount that we requested, but if we do get funded, whatever it is that we get funded, I did request to hire a full-time counselor and then also contract with Vida y Salud out of Crystal City for additional counseling. But that would be till October 1st. So right now we are in desperate need of counseling services. And so in discussion and conversation, should I say, with Judge Rodriguez about, the need that we have for counseling, I said that I would come before Commissioners Court and see if maybe, you can help us for the time being. And I have spoken to a certified, a licensed professional counselor out of Laredo, Judy Ramos Jordan. And she's ready to start. We will, we have it set up already. We've already ordered iPads because counseling services would be provided via Zoom. And so we will be getting a Zoom telehealth subscription that is compliant and meets all HIPAA regulations for both on the client side.
Did you have a chance to interview her or speak to her?
I have.
And your discussions with her, I mean, you deal with counsel more than I have. It's been a while. But was she receptive and understanding of all the topics you were covering?
Yes, and she does have experience in domestic violence and sexual assault, doing counseling for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. And so she has her own practice, but she also oversees counselors that are doing their practicum as well. So she has experience at all different levels.
So you said she has an LPC, that means she has her master's
She has her master's and she's gone through the required program to obtain her professional counselor's license.
Now, is the counseling services are gonna be provided, only to LaSalle County residents?
Yes.
What about women that have been past, abused in the past, but maybe not seen the center? Is there any possibility that they'll be open to counseling as well?
Anyone is welcome to register. I mean, in order to qualify for our services, you have to be a victim of domestic violence. However, there's no statute of limitation on the date of a domestic violence incident or sexual assault incident. And so someone may have experienced domestic violence or sexual assault 10, 20 years ago and can still be receiving services based on that particular incident. And so there is no statutory limitation on that. So, however, if they need counseling services, they would have to register with us in order to obtain the counseling services.
So if there's any type of award, it's gonna be in October,
Mhm.
and then it wouldn't probably be effective till the following year.
It would be for October through September. And so normally with CJD, we get our awards the month prior to the active date, which would be sometime in September.
So you're looking at July, August, September, October, 4 months.
Roughly.
And in the counseling, how much would you need to be able to provide these services?
Well, based on the 17 clients that we have on the waiting list, I'm estimating about 10 to 15 hours a week. And so not to exceed 50 hours a month. And so at an $80 an hour rate, because that is her rate, it would be $4,000 a month for 50 hours.
South Texas Rural Health, they don't have a counselor that might be able to help you out? Anyone?
I believe that there is not a counselor right now. They did have a counselor. We utilized the counselor they had for a while. It was a male counselor, and some of the majority of victims are female, and they didn't feel comfortable, and so they chose not to go through South Texas.
There's a difference in the LPC and whether you're substance abuse counselor or different levels of counseling. The LPC is the highest level before you get into a doctor, or, psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist.
So that's a step right before psychiatrist. But I think they can even issue our prescriptions limited. But it's just counseling something we haven't had. I've spoken to some women. There's no counseling. And, it's hard. It's hard, so.
It's one of the needs that we have that has been unmet. There's two needs that have been unmet. That is a priority because I guess it's probably equivalent to the other need, which is domestic violence focused parenting classes. And in coordinating and collaborating with CPS, there are so many individuals that have open CPS cases that are due to domestic violence. And so now CPS is requiring them to seek or to attend these domestic violence focused parenting classes. And no one in the area provides them. So what I did was I went ahead and had two of my staff trained to be able to provide that curriculum. It's a 7-week curriculum, and they've gotten trained, and we're working on scheduling our first group of 7-week curriculum to those clients. And so in talking to CPS and evaluating the clients that we have, we come to find out that we have a lot more many more of our own clients that we're serving have those open CPS cases, but because we didn't have that question in the intake, we didn't know that they had an open CPS case. And so now we ask that question if they have an open CPS case, and that allows us to be able to assist the client even further in getting them the help that they need. And so I've also requested in that application that I'm going to proposing to provide counseling services, to hire a coordinator that would fill that position and be specific to provide those parenting classes as well. So those are the two needs that we currently
On
have.
some of these individual women's shelter in need of counseling, some of the people that have Medicare or Medicaid may be eligible to be billed through that.
Yes,
And was she willing to give us credit for those?
yes. If she does her own billing, and so if she's able to obtain reimbursement from any Medicaid or Medicare or private insurance, then she will not bill us for those.
So this amendment will be for that counselor
What,
out of the rating still.
yeah, what I could do, commissioners, I mean, Erica's here today, but we could still do a Zoom meeting by Monday. And if you want to meet her, we can probably put her in a Zoom meeting on Monday.
I mean, you have
Yeah.
you have an option. You have two options. If you decide that you can help us, that you can contract with her directly to provide the services to our clients here, specifically to LaSalle County, or you can give us the amount and then we pay her. So the contract can be between us and her, or it can be between the county and her. Those are the two options.
I'm saying this money will go strictly for counseling.
The council. And what I was gonna suggest, if you wanna meet her, said, yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and put a Zoom meeting for next Monday. And we can go to the contract negotiations, we can go get an executive session, let's talk to her, ask her questions. Yeah. And then you feel a little more comfortable. And so, but I know, the thing is that during this period, you've had a number of fights. Sheriff's office has a lot of fights. There really isn't too much counseling that people can go to get counseling to help the relationship or their marriage or whatever there is. If we could make some of these things available, it may be less fights the sheriff's office has to go, or, less problems that y'all have to get into. It might be better for the children.
And we have seen an increase here recently in the number of clients that we've had at the shelter for residential services. And so we hadn't seen any, like I guess April was the first full month of the coronavirus, because it was the second half of March when it started, and then April. And so here at the end of May and up to now, we've had clients at the shelter. And so in the last 2 weeks, off of the top of my head, I can tell you that we've had about 6 different clients, and we still have 3 there. And so in just that 2-week time frame. So we are finally now seeing a spike in the need for shelter due to.
And you see in national TV, say defund the sheriff's office across the board. Well, if you look at cutbacks, then you gotta provide services. So what else are you gonna do to make it better? Give you kind of a trial run at whether it helps or improves, but I believe there's a need for counseling. So we can do an executive session on Monday, you talk to her. Under contract negotiations, you'd have to be on there. The contract negotiations, but I prefer with you.
And as far as negotiations, like, I know that's the ongoing rate, that's the lowest. That's what HHSC pays, that's what CJD pays, is the $80 an hour rate. And that's why her rate is $80, because she can bill higher, but based on the funding sources that we have, that's the max that they will pay for an LPC. The state has set rates for the different professions, the different professional licenses.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't believe it, but after I got divorced, I sent my daughter to counseling in Laredo, LPC for about 5 years. They check on her after a while, at first you see her all the time, and then every 3 months, and every 6 months, and once a year, they kind of went away. But anytime when you're upset in a relationship, what do? You hit on the spouse, they're no good, they're worthless, and this. But it teaches the children to understand what's going on and makes it better, especially when there's a breakup. And I think it makes them stronger because, if you're so horrible person, but sometimes we need assurance from not our friends or our family. We need to hear from someone that does a study outside and makes a difference. So, we can help. I think we're all on board. I think the commission would feel better probably with a direct interview with your counselor.
Sure, I can reach out to her and ask her if she's available on
from
Monday.
here,
She's from Laredo.
She's the daughter of Donato Ramos. Oh, she's very, very intelligent. She's very intelligent.
So that's gonna be what, $4,000 a month? Like 16,000 in 4 months.
Yeah, until she finds out what the funding is, but what Erica's duty is gonna be is how many people they've solved. Because once they go to counseling services and they start seeing people, then those people are gonna come back and say, hey, that person is good, Many times you hear, well, I went to that person and I didn't like that person. So you get someone good and they'll realize and say, hey, you know what? That person helped me out. So that's why I want you to get a feel for that.
She's gonna be a Monday through Friday counselor or just?
No, 15 hours.
It would be based on the availability that she has because she currently sees clients of hers. So it would be based on her availability, but she's willing to commit up to 15 hours, from 10 to 15 hours a week to us to serve the clients that we need.
45.
So what Erickson says, it's pretty much up to 4,000. If she doesn't see people, she's not gonna get a check.
Right.
If she don't see anybody, she's not gonna get a check. So it's not like,
And there may be some that she won't bill for if she can get reimbursement from a private insurance or Medicaid.
so motion to go ahead and table this until next Monday, and then we'll be in executive session.
I'll go ahead and make the motion table it.
So Monday, do you want me here and have her attend via Zoom or, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Second?
much.
Second. Who did second? You do. You do motion. Okay, I made the second. Fine.
Motion's been made, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you for your continued support.
All right, so number 10, discussion possible action on debris cleanup on property of Susana, I put Susana Rodriguez, including giving the cost of the bill to the contractor for the work completed. Now, we had covered this in Commissioner's Court. We had taken action. Apparently, there was some miscommunication that you were contacted. And Commissioner Navis cleaned it up. However,
I didn't complain.
But Mo, you did complain. And that's a concern because Ms. Martinez said that you wanted to call the Rangers and do all this. No, we've heard it in town elsewhere. Huh? And my thing is, I try to guide the Commissioner's Court to where people don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
And if we do something, I bring them back on track.
No, I just talked about that. let me know that he was gonna go, because I went Tuesday and he was done.
And we had, that's why I had him bring that sample rock, I don't know, when we were on here, that this is it.
Yeah, we saw it.
But I was thinking today that there's been a law that was changed to where we could do roads and private roads in the county for a population less than 7,500. So now we're here at 7,520, so we gotta really look at that now, based on what Carl told us, but this is not work on private road, this is something somebody dumped, and we said we're gonna send them a bill, we need to get that bill. But,
How much can that be? I can send you the bill because it took me 2 hours and I'm gonna charge you off for my guys like $25 an hour. I hadn't done a bill, but I had two guys, $25 an hour. And then the backhoe, I run it for about $70 an hour. And the dump truck about another $80 an hour. So it was 2 hours every day.
I mean, we're gonna send it to the contractor to pay, the last thing we want is TCEQ to be getting that for us. But
Sana told me yesterday that he hired a backhoe. Huh? Susana said that he hired a backhoe. Some boy named Abel Gonzalez. Yeah, Abel Gonzalez. And she had I said, I don't mind. She said, I'm very sorry about it. But the stuff that we were supposed to do, it was just a little pile. It was just a little pile. It took us 2 hours. But then after that, she hired Abel Gonzalez, little Abel, it belongs to Freddie Gonzalez's son. And they rented a dozer from Ralph Gonzalez, and they knocked the whole brush down. But she wasn't talking about that. No, they were complaining about that little pile of. I didn't mind. I didn't bring it up. So.
But my only thing is, we say we come back, we get a bill, we submit it to the contractor, we can get us the information, but, well,
That's good.
but that's.
I don't want to say anything, but.
That's what we covered, and then the reason I said, I spoke to Ms. Martinez, and you were really upset.
I didn't mention the Rangers.
And then I've heard it from a couple other people, said if that's the case, then you know what? Let them look at everything countywide, because even if you don't intend to do something, people do wrong. The thing is, knowingly, intentionally doing something.
You said it in Commissioner's Court after we almost were done. That let Commissioner Ayala go, and then you said, and if he can't do it, let Commissioner Nieves help him. Go back to the minutes, it says Commissioner Nieves, Commissioner Precinct 1 and Commissioner Precinct 4, he made the motion. Ramirez second. That's what it says in the minutes. Me to go help. That's where I get upset. Why? Nobody notified me to go help. I mean, we had Commissioner's Court on Thursday. That lady kept going to my house, I don't know, for the past week. I went out there to clean the next day. It took me 2 hours to clean it. But this is two hours talking about it. I mean, that's my jurisdiction. Sure.
The thing is,
I mean, I don't know. But it wasn't Commissioner's Court, company.
we covered this with Commissioner's Court. This is
I was the one that was gonna go, and if I couldn't go, you could go.
No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. You read the minutes right now.
Okay, I don't care.
we have spoken.
So you're gonna have your Texas Ranger look at me, go talk to me.
What?
The Texas Ranger,
Who said
because I was a
that?
fire property. You told everybody the restaurant number 2, but you know that.
Restaurant number 2. There's no such thing as restaurant number 2.
Right.
However, whatever you want.
One of the things,
Hey, the restaurant number 1.
one of the things is that
No,
this county used to be a unit system where it had one supervisor. And at some point, back with Jimmy Black and, you know, Arsenio and all them, they went to supervisor. And the statute is the commissioner as a supervisor of the system, and it changed. But that's only the roads and bridges. This was on private property, and it's not a road. We're not the owners of individual. So they say, this is mine or that's mine. You know, it's not. We're the caretakers of that area. And I'd like you all to cooperate on this, but sometimes the politics gets in and they say, well, they're doing this and they're not doing that. And you know what? I'll bring it to a head. I'll bring it to a head right here because, I mean, last week, well, it rained and I called Mr. Dolina, y'all need some help so we can get permission so people don't get in trouble. Because one, the law is very specific on how you use your road bridge funds. They can only be used for roads and bridges. If you use it for private, if you use it inside the city without the limit, it's called a misapplication of funds. So So I'm trying to get people out of trouble and guide them out of trouble. And I put 17 also because we have some bidded projects. And I'm not saying you're doing something crooked, but if their motor grader breaks down, then I'm sorry, you can't use the motor grader. Because like when you did Prince Road, I know that the motor grader was used out there, and I'm not saying it's illegal, but they can't use the motor grader because it was a bidded project.
We're on number 10.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing up number 11 also because it's all together.
So I want to table that for executive session.
This not gonna go to executive session. If I go to executive session, Karen, come here, let's make a statement.
Yeah, let's get me Martinez.
No, you don't need to be in my peer. I can go by myself if you want.
It says right here on the
Okay.
bottom line.
Let's go
Stays on the bottom
on
line.
number 10. Number 10, we voted on it.
That's
we already
a
we-
done deal.
It's a done deal. On number
Yeah.
11,
Yeah.
discussion possible action on the use of equipment and staff on bidded contracts without the Approval Commissioner's support. This is what I do know.
I'm gonna make a motion to table because the people are saying that it's me, about me, it's all about me, and I don't see my name.
Well, it doesn't cover your name, but it is about bidded contracts, and I'm gonna explain.
And I already checked. We haven't been on a bidded contract.
There was a bidded contract. There
Correct.
was a bidded. Back last year, Prince Road was bid out. Prince Road was bid out to do work. And it was bid out and awarded to do work on Prince Road. And the GPS showed equipment on that road during that time period. And what I'm saying is,
Judge,
if you bid out projects
Judge,
and you put out a cost, if you put out a cost for motor grader as part of the project, then they better use their motor grader.
that's what Riojas did. I mean,
But that's not what happened, because then what was your motor grader doing over there?
we look in the paperwork, Riojas did the bidding, and I was gonna furnish the roller and the water and the motor grader
Because,
to save me
and
money.
I'm gonna tell you something, your staff is not always loyal to you. You know, the word's out, hey, you got one motor grader over here, the other one's used by certain person all the time. And we can pull the motor graders. So we can do an executive session, but I'm saying you got staff there that are paying top dollar and they spend their time, and then this equipment is being used where it shouldn't be because it's not a county worker. And I'm not saying it's not used on county property.
Who's that?
It's not on county property.
It's on county property all the time.
Yeah, it's on county property, but it's not a county employee. El monito no es called.
Well, because we have an agreement with Russell.
Where's the agreement?
Well, it's been years ago.
No, where is it? When did we approve it in Commissioner's Court?
Yeah, me and Rene made the motion.
When did we approve it?
Oh,
And is that agreement
And only on
renegotiable?
emergencies, like when we had the wildfire, I had only on one motor grader, he didn't work for the county, I had working
And
on
those were
motor grader.
emergencies
fighting
and
fire.
declared emergencies by the
This was
government.
a wet day.
These are declared emergencies.
Well, I won't do it again.
These are declared emergencies.
It's not on the paper.
But you're paying top dollar to El Monito there to operate it, it should be your workers,
It was Saturday,
huh?
Saturday and Sunday.
So-
Usually rains on Fridays. And he sometimes.
And I'm not saying he doesn't do good work, I'm not saying it's bad,
You know.
but El Monito,
You know.
which is the little man,
You know.
the little man should be your workers.
Yeah, but well, I'll tell them to work on Sundays. You know, there's no overtime, but they can take comp time. I'll do
I
that.
mean, there's overtime, we can get comp time, but I mean, we can cover the
I'll
workers
do
and all that as well.
I'll do that.
But I'm saying, hey, this is something that, you know,
My monitos are good, they'll work on weekends.
yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, if you want to table it, come back, we'll table it, come back, but, it's one of these things that it's serious, and I'm saying, hey, if there's a misunderstanding, stop it.
We already covered it, stop it.
Yeah. Number 12, and it's about the same, kind of the same thing, the discussion, possible, we're not, it's gonna die, we're not gonna take action.
Number 11.
No action.
We're not gonna take any action. Number 12, discussion possible action authorizing an agreement with Methodist Church for additional parking to be shared with the county.
You're talking about right there in front.
Right there where Cordova has done
That's a good
some,
idea.
some work, they're gonna clean it up.
I agree with that.
And the church authorized and said, hey, if you wanna work with us, help us pave it, or help us clean it or improve it, and y'all can use it and we can use it too.
Good idea.
And I think we need the parking. But if that's the case, we get Ms. Martinez to go ahead and reach out to Pastor Franklin and work out the arrangements and get it.
But right now, what they want us to clean all the grass around it. You know, they use they put a bunch of caliche in the middle, but on the sides, it's grass is about that high. They want to clean it before we turn it back in. That's
I would do whatever they want.
But right now, we haven't finished that project there, and they're renting it to Cordova, so we gotta get Cordova and complete before we can do anything.
Well, the thing is like the city, they could give you a fine because your property's dirty. They want it clean, just the way they got the church fee. We left the weeds come out about that high on both sides, around the trees, around the rocks. They wanted to look nice and clean. That's what
What can I do? But we have to put pressure on Cordova. We have to put pressure on Cordova. Cordova's a contractor. We gotta put pressure on them, get them out of the way, say, you know what, y'all need to clean it, and then after they're gone, we'll do the improvement.
But whose material is all
We'll
that
do the
rock and all
improvement.
that?
Well, some of the rocks are already there next to the mesquite tree, but the thing is that the grass grew.
But I'd rather see a project that everybody helps, you know.
And that's where the
Yeah,
parking lot that's where the parking lot's gonna go?
Get together.
That's where the
The
parking
parking
lot's
lot's gonna be, the parking lot's gonna be right there, the whole parking lot. They wanna build a parking lot with concrete, that way they can use it for a funeral or something, whatever, and we can use it for an annex, and we both can use it.
And there'll be enough parking for all of us.
Yeah, but
They
the only
got
thing
all
that,
the streets around, which they got the parking.
the only thing that, right now, the weeds are real high, and
parking.
that's what, they're not talking about the parking lot right now. All they want is just somebody to mow the yard, the grass on the sides. I mean, that's all.
I mean, the mowing, we can get Robert to do the mowing.
That's easy.
I mean, we can get Robert to do the mowing.
What I'm saying, right there where you wanna do the mowing, where the mowing needs to be done, that's where the parking lot's gonna be?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna do a parking lot, we
Yeah,
might
but
as well do the
we'll have to
clearing.
When they're gonna do the parking lot, they want the grass. Right now, grass is coming out everywhere because of the rain. And they keep it maintained pretty good, the church. But like I said, with this rain, grass came out and nobody cut it, so that's what.
Cordova is gone, and they didn't clean.
I mean, they're not worried about the parking lot right now. I
Road's
just
not
want,
completely done yet, but we'll make them. But I would make a motion to the effect, get Robert to go clean it up. And then, once we sign off in Cordova, we'll come back as a commissioner's court and conflict it or payment or whatever they want.
yeah, I mean,
But I do want Ms. Martinez to go ahead and get a little agreement with them. That way, in the future, there's no problem.
Yeah.
And I would put that in form of motion, authorize Mr. Perez, through his men to do the mowing and, authorize Mrs. Martinez to reach out to Pastor Franklin to work out the details of the improvements to, that adjacent Methodist property for parking.
Was that your motion or I make the motion?
No, I'll put that in form of motion.
I'll second.
So motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Same sign. Number 13, discussion possible action on NCIC inmate telephone services and all other, action necessary there too. Is that Bonita? Yes, sir. And, well, you're not Bonita, you're sheriff.
¿Cómo se llama?
Huh?
¿Cómo se llama? What?
This is Lieutenant Bonita. Going out by the telephone communication.
Yes. All right. Well, you had mentioned that they still had some information that they needed to submit. And I see the local jail, and you got the jail in Ensenada. And was it one contract for both or two separate contracts?
Two separate, because remember, we just went on this one because we just ended the contract. That's when they came, so we've been with them for what, 2 years? And then we went over here.
Because the contract from here goes into you all's fund. And the contract from Ensenada would have to go to US
Bank.
Bank.
Yeah, we just started, remember they were here last year?
Yeah.
Because we had to finish the contract. We couldn't do it the same, we wanted to do it the same time, but we couldn't because we still had a contract. And then we just went, because they just installed those phones they're working on. and the Encina unit. But it's different. I mean, it's the same company, but it's just, we started here a little over a year and a half, but over here we just started maybe 6-7 months.
I put the item on the agenda because you requested it. What action did y'all need from us on this?
No, because the deal was, remember on those checks, they wanted to know where they send the money. There was a problem, we didn't know, so when I talked to Ms. Perez, she sent it back, then that's when they wanted to know, Ms. Risa, where they send the money for that, and then I think you said US Bank.
Do you have a copy of the contract?
No, it's not, I didn't know we had,
I don't know if you have a copy of the contract,
not right.
but the copy of the contract for the facility, even if they send it to us, LaSalle County, we have to send it to US Bank for that facility. And for this facility, it goes into the jail fund as telephone revenue. There's a separate. And then once IRA reports it to the US Bank, then we get it back to the profit or something else. So.
Because that was controlled, that's what I showed to Ms. Perez.
Huh?
That was that cheaper company, yes?
Yeah,
That was a cheaper
we're gonna,
company?
yes, well, it's a little cheaper, but also we get better benefits, and also it's better for the people. Because like we've been doing, when we went to this, we've been doing better on money financially, right?
Yes, I think, we usually get about 1,000 a month back from profit.
And the other one, we already got in, they got more percentage than we did. And with this one, because even when the people, when they call Guatemala, Honduras, it's even a lot cheaper. Over there, it was costing them like 60 cents a minute. And those people can afford it, you know.
Yeah.
They give a better rate, and everybody, because I talked to the sheriff in Zavala, and Hondo, and that's why we went up, because since they went with us, they really had profit more. You know, even a little deal, like you said, it's $1,000 that we get in. Sometimes even more, but and it's just think over there, because like when you get 100 people and they call, there be a lot of profit. But that's what we went for, you know, because I don't go because, you know, I see a lot of those vendors when we go to those conferences, but I don't go because they say, oh, you know, because they see that you the share, they want to sell you everything, they want you to buy everything. But I went because they, you know what it means when they say, your commissioner coming, we got a new loader. But it's just that I just went because I just want to see what is fair for the county and is fair for the people. And like I said, when they talk to them and the little one, we started to see it's really good, you know.
And actually, right now during the COVID
pandemic,
yeah, it really benefited us because, as per Joe standards, nobody's allowed to go in to visit, like as far as family members. So the kiosk that they installed, which is like, we call it like a laptop, but it's on the wall. The family can set up family visits, and I think it's $7.20 per visit. And then the inmate can also set up their own, and that would charge us 35 cents a minute. So even though they can't go in, the family, they are still able to see them.
And they talk on the phone or what?
Yes, it's like a phone.
It's like FaceTime, it's like FaceTime on the wall.
FaceTime. And then also the JPs, all the magistrate judges, they set up an account on a laptop on their end, and they were able to connect to the app is Vintage. So if they didn't want to go into the jail, they could use that also to see them, or also like the phone, they could just use the phone. But that one has really benefited us during the COVID, because we're still able to, you know, provide for the inmates, even though they're not allowed inside.
On that savings, on that $1,000, what is it, just, y'all get like credit back, or you get money?
It's like a commission. We put it into a trust fund, a fund for the inmates, and we are able to buy anything dealing with inmates that they might need. We save it, and then whatever we might need there at the jail, we can use it. So.
really, so we went there with the other one, we already have any money.
I think it was like $70 or $80 a month. You know, for the year that I was there, and then when we transitioned over, it's a big difference. It's more or less 1,000.
And Esperar has been a blessing for us over here, because I took her from Encinal over here. I still don't want to go back.
I thought she was already like you.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So, no, but that, like I said, it's in the long run, it's better. Like I said, the only thing I wanted to do, because we wanted to know where, because even email is talking to us and said, where do I need to send the money? You know, and when I talked to the judge, and he just said US Bank, so the captain told me that we we were gonna have a meeting today, and we can get a contract, just send that, in, to
I
our.
mean, it should be there. We have to change the contract. We'd have to bring it back. But it should be in the contract that it's US Bank. 'Cause I think that's the way we passed it last year.
We can look, and
And if
if
we
it's,
didn't, we can make that change. But
it is, it's unusual, they wanna know where they send the money, so they wanna send us the money here.
okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
Well, we don't have to take any, we don't have to take any action.
Okay,
Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you for your time, Judge.
yes, sir.
So they're not gonna take any action. We just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.